All right. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to High Top Sports. Happy Sunday to all your beautiful faces. Sit back, relax, let's have ourselves a show. We rock and roll, talking about a few different things. One, the defensive line. We talked about a couple different groups, but I think we're going to do a segment for the next few Sundays, breaking down each group, how it relates to the rest of the conference, the rest of the league. Should we be concerned? Some things to watch for. Kind of break it down more by the numbers versus feeling, right? Then we're going to talk about SEC previews. The rankings came out from SEC Media Day as I intended. There was some changes based on the conversations that were had this past week, which honestly, I'm okay with it. I like the changes they made. The SEC All-American teams came out. We'll pick it apart a little bit. It's tough, though, when you really get down to the nitty-gritty. Like, it's either this guy or that guy. That's how close this league is right now, in my opinion. Few names are probably left off that shouldn't have been, but we'll get after it, boys. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. We'll be talking about a giveaway later on today. We are doing a giveaway tomorrow for that signed Brandon Spikes bottle. How do I get into that? You buy yourself some merch. Go to hightopsport.com/shop to check out that merch. We've been selling out the Spot the Ball shirts like crazy. So now's your time. If you want to get one, get it now, boys and girls. But happy Sunday. Good to see you. Cody, the prof, is joining us this evening. What's going on, big dog? Good to see you.
Just, All-American barbecue day. We did hot dogs and hamburgers and brats for supper. So fired up the grill.
It's dinner,
it's always
Cody. It's dinner.
Supper, same thing.
It's dinner. No, it's not the same thing. Like supper is like your last meal.
After 6 hours of create a player on NCAA 1026, I am now the starting quarterback for the University of Florida. So just took it to Tennessee, posted up 56 points on them to
6
7.
hours.
So life is good.
You asked me why I didn't download it because it is a slippery slope, my guy.
Very slippery. Okay,
a slope that I cannot slide down at this very moment in time. So there was a mom joke there. I'm gonna hold back. It's too early right now. Okay, we'll let it rock and roll. But Q Lee, High Top Rook, Jabroni Anderson, Tom, Chris Smith, D Johnson, Tom, Jarvis, Kara Copeland. Good to see everybody here. TJ, welcome to the show, ladies and gents. Happy to have you. Good to see you. All right, boys, let's get after it. So, the offensive or the defensive line was something I was kind of thinking about today of, the excitement for it. We'll talk. It's going to connect later on too with that SEC preview for the All-American team because none of our guys made it first team. And I was like, what the heck? But when you look at that first team, you're like, all right, I kind of get it, right? We've broken down the edge rooms, the interior D-line rooms on our show here, on our Monday mashup with Ty. And a lot of those guys that were in that top 5 were ahead of the Banks and the Tyreek Sapp. Now, I was surprised to see that Tyreek Sapp, who's projected to be a lottery pick, essentially next year, being the third team guy, not a second team, and we'll explain why he wasn't a first team too. We'll break that all down. But man, when I took a look at these numbers, and I only compared it to 3 teams, the 3 teams that I compared our defensive line to, and I only looked at a certain stat because PFF, the score, it's helpful, but you have to take everything into consideration because, and you'll see it by this chart, but the PFF, it has snaps, and you can have a high PFF grade, but if you didn't play a lot, your grade isn't true, right? Because there's not a lot of snaps to help bring it down. What I wanted to look at is because we know in our hearts how this defensive line looked, how it performed, how it functioned. What I believe is going to be the difference maker this year is going to be just time in between the white lines, right? The experience. Coming down the stretch, who's going to feel the most comfortable, who's going to be the most dialed in, because that's going to be the difference maker with all these tight, close games is who's going to be the sharpest throughout. And I think game time experience is going to be a major factor into those things. Game calling, obviously, is going to be a big one, but I feel like the play calling got much better towards the back half of the year, and I don't feel too concerned about that. Honestly, obviously the big question mark is going to be the depth, the experience, all those things. That's what we're asking ourselves. How do we fill in it? How do we replace Big Dez? How do we replace Cam Jackson? Like, these are the major questions that we have. Jack Piper and all those things. So what I did is I took a look at PFF and I looked at the total snaps. I took Florida's D-line. I took Georgia's D-line. The reason I took Georgia's D-line, obviously being kind of the top dog. I could have took Texas, but I think Georgia's done a better job over the last couple years recruiting and developing, so a much better sample size, if you will, on that defensive line. Although there are concerns, I still felt that was a better comparison just because that's who we've been chasing for quite some time. The other one that I did was Clemson, and the reason I picked Clemson because they're favored to be one of the top defensive lines in the country returning back this year. All right, so where does Florida stand in all of that? So we'll go back to 8th grade and we'll look at our little bar graph here. I'm going to break it all down. The colors, the Georgia colors aren't the greatest. I get it, but it is what it is. Off the rip, there's a lot of excitement here, okay? So you've got Florida top left, Georgia top right, Clemson on the bottom, okay? Well, what am I looking at here, Sheldon? The top row for for all three teams is their PFF score. So very healthy for all the teams, right? It kind of pretty even across the board. Georgia's got a few peaks and valleys there. Clemson's got a nice healthy base, okay? The bottom column, so the orange for Florida, the yellow for Georgia, and the purple for Clemson is your total snaps. And this is what got me really, really excited. And I felt like that our team was coming in with a lot of experience, and that speaks to what Napier and Co were doing last year. And so somebody called in the other night and was like, hey, how do you feel about, Micah Barora and Brian Taylor and these guys that are having to step up with Big Dez and replace Cam Jackson? I go, look, I'm not too concerned because of how much time they played. If you watch that Florida team, there's a lot of rotation going in and out, right? Not a lot of guys were kind of just left out there to die, essentially. And so I really think that's going to be a big difference maker this year, especially early on in the season, right? Where you're going to have a nice experienced line that's played together, that has cohesion together very early, versus like an LSU who's going to have they'll have some snaps, not necessarily together, but they'll have some snaps. They probably will have one of the higher snap rates too. We know that Jack Pipern's starting, Patrick Payton's starting on the other side. Previous FSU player played a lot. That interior is very thin. I know the interior though is very young, and so that snap count is low. And I still will take Florida as the higher rated guys for that as well. Now, keep in mind, these snaps are just from last year, not total, which I still think is more relevant than needed. So when you think about that, though, like the Tyreek Sapps, the George Gums, those guys really are going to skyrocket. Caleb Banks, who've been playing some heavy minutes over the last 2 years. I'll take a breath, catch some air. Cody, what are your thoughts on this? Does this excite you? Indifferent? What do you got from a big guy?
It's kind of tough too because obviously you want players that have played a lot of snaps. That's every team that has won a national championship lately has had that big veteran preference, correct?
Yeah,
we have to agree with that, right?
Michigan and Ohio State had a lot of an older group for sure, and that's the thing is like just you think about it, you compound those snaps when you get towards the back half of the season, right? Like that's where it really starts to you see the difference.
Let's add a layer to this. What about the guys that were playing them? Also, you got to think TCU brought back a extremely veteran presence, right? They were all the COVID year guys. They were all fifth year super seniors, right? And then you had Notre Dame bringing back all heavy veteran guys, right?
So you're saying these guys kind of had a loophole of experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're kind of now seeing maybe a dip. You're seeing a little bit of a dip happening.
Yeah, add in the transfer portal, sprinkle the transfer portal in for a little magic there, the extra years from COVID. You had a lot of heavy veteran senior teams. Now, the thing is, the best thing about Florida is they did not bring in a bunch of transfer portal guys on that defensive line, because I love snaps and I love veteran guys, but you also need veteran guys that have been together the entire time. That cohesiveness, even on the defensive line. Offensive line is the most important, but defensive line is extremely important. You look at a defensive line that is very young and has a high uptick. You look at Oklahoma, but their line hasn't played a lot of snaps. They got one senior on the edge that's very, very good. I can't think of his name, but a lot of the guys are going to be sophomores this year. Yeah. As opposed to Florida, you have a nice blend. Georgia is going to be a young offensive line, or defensive line, I would say.
Both sides.
With the amount of talent they lost. This is a great year for the University of Florida having an elite defensive line. Clemson, look at the snap count. They have a lot of returning starters also. South Carolina, they have a nice blend. They have the true sophomore edge. That's Dylan Stewart. That's unbelievable. But they also have some veteran guys blended in. It's not uber young like Georgia, like LSU has a blended line. I think they're pretty young though because they've lost a lot of pieces. Texas, very, very young line at Texas. They have Colin Simmons, but they lost 10 players on that defensive line in the past 2 drafts. So I think that's going to have to propel Florida just because the amount of veteran preference or presence that is there up the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and when people ask, like, hey, what's your concern? We always point to that DB room. And that's one of the big things. It goes to experience. There's not a question mark on the talent side. It's young, so there
Yeah.
could be some question marks. But then, I said it's sandwiched in between a lot of experience. When you go to the D line, we just talked about it. You go to that safety room with Jordan Castell, Bryce Thornton, Aaron Gates, Sharif Denson, kind of that nickel safety cornerback. Those guys carry a ton of snaps between the four of them. The linebacker room, I would say, is very young. But again, it would probably look very similar to the chart up above with Pup Howard and Jane Robinson carrying the bulk, right? Having that a lot of presence. And then we know that Childs and Graham saw the field a lot, very similar to Barora and Elgin McCray, who have still, you can still see there's not a major drop off. That bottom right there for Florida is Tavarius Brown, who got to Florida in June last year. The 6'6", the kid's huge. I'm excited to see him maybe get some more playing time this year, but that's where he's at the bottom there. The other one is Elgin McCray, Micah Brewer, and then Brian Taylor Jr., who was that JUCO transfer that came in late. So again, he's a senior guy. He'll definitely see some more time and he'll see some experience. And look, this doesn't mean that Florida's going to be just light years ahead, because obviously there's still Clemson's D line has a lot of potential. There's a lot of talent on that defensive line. Guys from high school that maybe just didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but when they did play, it was extremely impactful. So look, I just, when I really started to break it down, I wanted to kind of go through it. We're getting super close. And so I tried to take off my feelings hat and look more to that emotional side. That's where we were at.
And I gotta say this: take out the year that they are playing, right? So if they're like a sophomore, don't think they're young because they're a sophomore, because they could have played 550, 600 snaps their freshman year. Like a guy like Jeremiah Smith, that kid's not a sophomore in playing time. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So just because they're young doesn't mean that they haven't played snaps. The best thing that with the DB room is, if you are good, Billy puts you on the field. These sophomores have, compared to the rest of college football, have a lot more playing time than what an average sophomore does.
I would say the quality of sophomore playing time in Florida is very high in comparison. Again, you got your Jeremiah Smith, your Colin Simmons, but those guys were the elite of the elite in a class of their own.
Yeah.
But when you look at Florida's team, again, a lot of those guys have some playing time. They're comfortable on the football field. I wouldn't say Kermani's a sophomore, but he really kind of had this seemed like his true second year, because that first year at Colorado was, didn't play too much, but his true second year under Florida. It's not the greatest example, but because he is a junior, but I will say just because of his playing time. So look, really cool to look at. I was excited to see it, and I feel really confident about this team. And it's gonna be a great transition into that SEC rankings. And although Florida sits a little lower, I'm not mad about it. I kind of expected it, because we talked about it on Monday Mashup. Hey, who's gonna be the Dark Knight team that really kind of catches some people's eyes? And I want to say that I won, because I picked South Carolina, and they jumped on a lot of people's boards. And I think Lenore Sellers brought that swagger. And I think the way that Beamer talked, which I said, he doesn't really hide his cards very well. I think it kind of had people look for a second. When you look at that South Carolina team, it's thick. It's coming back with a vengeance. Real quick, let's read the super chat and we'll dive into that. If you ain't a Gator podcast, which will be live on Tuesday, we will. High Top says, let's go Gators. If you ain't a Gator, let's go Gators. Absolutely, man. $2. Can't wait to be on the show, Bubba. Let me read this real quick. Okay, so SEC Media Days. So Texas number 1, no shocker there. They've been number 1 this entire time. Georgia rolling in at number 2. You wonder how much logo weight is on that, because I don't think Kirby had as much confidence and swagger than what he's normally to. I think Gunnar Stockton kind of sold some people more than what they thought. They were there's some question marks there. And I think just because Georgia has always in a way, what's very similar to Alabama, has rotated talent through very well. And there's no question. They've always done that. They've always had young parts in lower areas and have been able to make up for it in other spots. The big thing for them is their wide receiver room is the best it's been in probably a decade. And I think a lot of people were excited to see what can Georgia do with a good wide receiver room. But when we had Uncle Lou on for SEC Media Day, he brought up a good point, which is kind of what I've been alluding to, is like, look, Gunnar Stockton's not as good as Carson Beck as a quarterback in the sense of the ability to sling it. Controlling a game, managing a game, making better decisions. Yeah, absolutely. He'll probably throw for 280 and 2 touchdowns and no picks and no dumb mistakes. But Carson Beck will throw for 390, 2 interceptions and 4 touchdowns, right? So And either one works if your team can rally around that. He's like, look, if we go down to 30 like we did last year at Alabama, we're not going to win. Garrett or Stockton doesn't do that for us. He doesn't believe that. I don't think the offense has shown that it can do that. I don't care who you had next to you. You got to have a quarterback that has that gunslinger mentality. Stockton, he doesn't believe has it. I don't believe he does either. There's still question marks in the running back room, although Nate Frazier got a ton of love on this SEC media presence, which we'll talk about. But the O-line, it was the worst it's been last year, and those guys are all gone. They're resetting. So they're number 2. Bama's at 3. Again, you wonder how much logo carries weight there because there's a quarterback competition going on at Alabama. It was mentioned. It's a 3-way race right now. They said Ty would be the guy if they, cut it in March after the spring game. But I think when they asked one of the players, like, yeah, it's a heated battle right now. Like, it's nobody's in first. LSU, who I had much higher on my particulars. I had LSU at number 2. They have them at 4. I think that Brian Kelly is the reason that they're at number 4. Now, here's the big one. Florida was sitting at 5 for most people. That was where Florida was ending up, which I think was very healthy. It's a great place to be. Consider where Florida was last year. I think Florida was like 14th when this poll came out from SEC Media Days, which I was hot about because we were behind like the likes of Auburn. Like these lists didn't really get me too fired up. But I was like, who we're behind doesn't make any sense, and I feel like I was pretty spot on with that. But South Carolina skyrocketed to number 5. I think they were kind of floating around that 9 or 10 in the SEC, and they jumped up a lot, which I'm okay with. I think South Carolina, in a way, looks very similar to Florida. Kind of carries the same blueprint with great edge play, very exciting quarterback play with a ton of upside, a gritty defense, a hungry coach, a young coach with a lot of question marks underneath them, right? These two teams carry that same identity, and neither of them play each other, which is kind of funny. South Carolina was kind of one of those ones we always played, and so we don't play each other this year. So I'm okay with this, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, Cody?
Yeah, I just can't get behind LSU at 4 or Bama at 3. Number 1, Bama quarterback controversy. They really don't know who's going to start yet, and that they don't have anybody that's proven. Number 2, I have to see it for LSU. It's hey, after that defense last year, I know that they're going to move Harold Perkins. He's going to be able to rush the passer a little bit more. That was said at SEC Media Day.
I think though, because I agree with you. I agree with you last week when you said LSU was a little bit too high, but I don't think you can put them behind Florida because of everything you just said. Florida fits the same boat. I got to see it still. There's some things you got to see. And LSU, although they had some holes, right? They still won what, 8 games, 9 games.
I think that LSU isn't as complete of a team as what Florida is, though.
Okay.
There's a lot more question marks at LSU than there is. We know what the defense is going to be. We know we have DJ Lagway. We know what the weapons are.
LSU secondary is completely revamped. We don't know good or bad.
Though.
Yeah, but with a ton of experience.
It's been bad, but it's been bad every single year. They've revamped it 3 times. It's been bad the entire time Brian Kelly's been a coach. I can't get behind it. All of his teams are weak. They have a killer running back in Durham, and they can't run the ball.
I agree with those. Look, I agree with all those intangibles, right? It's hard to measure those things on paper right now until you look, when you look at this team on paper, it looks really, really good. It looks probably the best that it's looked in quite some time. That's where I think this is coming from, genuinely. There are some holes. I think on the offensive side and the interior on both sides, interior O-line, interior D-line, there's some question marks. And that is the biggest thing for me because look, their heart of it is going to be in Durham and in Nusmire, but we sacked them 7 times last year. That offensive line, if it doesn't hold up, those guys are absolutely nothing. So I agree with you on those remarks. And look, I think we are better than LSU, but what I'm saying is I can see why LSU is where it's at.
South Carolina is a more complete team.
Yeah, I think you and I keep talking about it. I like South Carolina a lot. And Jellybean says Texas isn't that good. I wonder if, again, I think that those top 3 teams are kind of being propped up on who they are, who the coaches are, and just what you're hearing.
What have they done lately?
Yeah, with all the money they've been spending. I'm not saying Texas is going to be an absolute flop, but I've been saying this too, that I think 1 through 5 and 6 are much closer than people want to give credit to. You can't look. You put Florida first, people are going to throw an absolute fit. And I'm not saying that Florida is first, but when you take a look at it, when we just did the defensive line, offensive line, Florida has SEC. They've got pre-SEC all over the field as of now. Now, not highly rated as others, but that's just kind of like a hearsay. Like, again, Jaden Ball didn't get any love. Well, he was absolutely fantastic last year. And I know somebody like Jacoby Jackson. Well, he wasn't on the list either. So we know how EA Sports looked at this running back room. Wasn't that great. But Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber were both on first team. That's your left tackle. And that's massive. That's huge. And in between them is one of my favorite football players of all time, Najee Harris, who's just an absolute dude. So
I do have something to say about this list. If this list is exact of what happens, boy, Hugh Freeze and Kentucky looking for new coaches. Because Auburn and Kentucky are looking for new coaches because, boy, have the mighty have fallen. Kentucky has always been like around the 8-9 era.
Mizzou, too,
every year.
Big slide. Big slide for Mizzou, in my opinion. They were ahead of Florida last year. So this is who was ahead of Florida last year. So we know, okay? That's what I'm saying. Florida has made a massive jump, so kudos to them. Tennessee was ahead of them. Ole Miss was ahead of them. Texas A&M was ahead of them. Auburn was ahead of them. Mizzou was ahead of them. And I want to say it was between Oklahoma. Was like they were like back and forth. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6 teams. Yeah, they were like 12th or 13th last year. That's where Florida sat. I think Oklahoma is too low. Personally, I mean, how much we've been talking about them, I think I was very, even more impressed with them after this week. I think Oklahoma should be 7.
I think the big orange balls are going to take a big slide.
I agree. I think they're too high. I think that Tennessee should stay
too high at 9.
I think Tennessee. Honestly, I think Tennessee can be at 10 because Auburn, Missouri. You could almost argue Auburn over to Tennessee. Genuinely, like honestly,
yeah.
I think you could. I think Oklahoma should be ahead of Ole Miss. Maybe not ahead of Texas A&M, but I don't know, man. A&M came out strong and heavy, but I look, a lot of their talent is coming in this year. They've done a hell of a recruiting job this year, but we're splitting hairs. I think Florida is a phenomenal place to attack, and I think that, again, a lot those top 3 teams are carrying on just as it should. As it should.
Texas A&M is always going to be in that 6, 7, 8 area because the defense is so good with Elko.
Yeah, agreed.
He's just an elite defensive caller and an elite defensive coach. And when you can clamp down offenses for, 21 points, 14 points, you're in it to win it, right? You don't even have to produce. It's like Iowa. You don't have to produce that many points. You're coming in for a slugfest when you play Texas A&M. The home stadium is very good also, so I think that gives you a little bit of bump. So they could have nothing on offense. Texas A&M is going to be 8 just because the defense is so good. You also look at a team in Ole Miss.
So speaking to that, right? They lost to Texas 17-7. Like that's my concern though. Is in the game before that they lost to Auburn in a shootout 43-41. Like that's Auburn kind of showed you a little bit what they can do. They lost to South Carolina 44-20. Like they had some bad losses, but they take down LSU. That was the thing. Is like they kind of had opportunities where they exploded, but South Carolina, who was very healthy defensively, held them to 20. They couldn't do anything defensively with Marcel Reed. Like that's where my question mark is. Like they torched us with the freshman mobile quarterback. We were a shell of ourselves in game 3. I would love to see, this is part of the game, but what it would have been a few weeks later. Texas A&M, that was a hell of a game, but yeah, then you gave up 43 to Auburn, in overtime. So, or gave 43 points to Auburn. So, and then they lost, of course, to USC, who kind of found a little bit of rhythm with their newer quarterback. But look, they start off the season with UTSA and Utah State. So, a quick 2-0 start. Then they go to Notre Dame, Auburn, which will be a great game. Mississippi State.
That Notre Dame game's going to be good.
Yeah, Notre Dame's got some dogs, bro. They gotta help. I mean, we usually kind of give Notre Dame some flack, but I know they open up with Miami. They've got A&M, which they played them last year. Then we know they always play USC, and they'll probably throw another 8. They'll have a couple more ACC guys, and I think they got one more. Well, let me take a look at their schedule. Their schedule's very healthy this year. Yeah, Miami, A&M, Boise State. I think was a healthy schedule, but it's not with the same team. USC, of course. Syracuse is going to be a great one. Navy. I mean, Navy's been a hell of a contest, and then it's USC or ACC teams. Excuse me. After that, Pittsburgh's a great matchup, but I mean, they don't have a cupcake, dude. Like
No.
So it's A&M, Purdue. You can say Purdue's easy, but I'm talking like these are still Power 4 schools. Arkansas, NC State, Boston College, Pittsburgh, Stanford,
Oh,
Syracuse.
BC's gonna be tough.
I mean, yeah. I mean, kudos to those boys for laying it out on the line. That's a hell of a schedule. No Long Island, if you will. And look, Florida deserves a Long Island in both sense of the term after what they've been dealing with.
I just hope we can put them away early and get QB2 some reps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want another. What was that? That game that we played where we could never get QB2 any reps because it was
last year
too far. No, it was the year before.
It was USF,
South Florida.
Yeah, we played USF. We were biting our nails at the end. Yeah, it was not fun.
Yeah,
it was not fun.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. Eric North, best Gator pod. Ooh, a little list pair. Best Gator podcast by far. Keep it going, man. I appreciate it, man. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe, boys. I appreciate y'all. Mitchell said, I've been calling it all year. Florida or South Carolina makes the playoffs this year. South Carolina and Florida have kind of been very similar with their paths the last couple of years, you know? And I was talking about this with my buddy the other day. I was thinking about it in the car ride in. I go, man, it's kind of really cool to see where the SEC is right now, headed into this year with the coaching standpoint. It's very matured. It's got a kind of a group of guys that have been there for a minute, right? So you've got Sark, headed into his fifth year. George is Kirby's the old guy in the room. Kirby and Lane are the old guys at their schools. So those are your top two. Yeah. Then from there, though, you go to DeBoer, who's in his second year. He's still young. I understand that. Brian Kelly in his fourth year. Beamer is in his fifth year. Billy's in his fourth year. Elko's in his second year. Heupel's in his fifth year. Venables is in his fourth year. Hughes is in his third year. Eli's in his fifth year. Clark's in his fourth or fifth year. Pittman's in his fourth or fifth year. Oh, Stoops. Stoops has been there for 90 years.
He's been there forever. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys, I thought about it, man, it's kind of funny because we're kind of in a nice, healthy point with the SEC and coaches. I believe one of these teams is going to lose a head coach this year. Like that could be Auburn. That could be a take where an SEC team loses a coach this year.
If Auburn finishes 11th,
hell of a conversation.
When all things are done, like say, forget this list from 10 up. We don't know who it is, but Auburn's gonna finish 11th. Hugh Freeze is gone. You got too much talent on that team, and now the recruiting has fallen apart. So there's no hope anymore.
You're not exactly selling where Florida was last year. Like that's a fact.
You're not selling a dream or hope. Yeah.
Mako Customs, man, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, dude. It says Sellers is saving Shane's job. I mean, look, I think Sellers done a phenomenal job, but defensively, that team has been an absolute riot. And people might forget, behind Sellers is Aaron Noland, the once 4/4-star quarterback that went to Ohio State for a year and then came to South Carolina. They do not miss when it comes to recruiting quarterbacks. It's kind of like Florida. Like there's some areas there's some issues, but they got a little whisper over there because again, I'm not a huge fan of what's his name, the Saints quarterback, Spencer Rattler.
Spencer,
but he was the shiny toy in college football during his time, right? And I think it was a massive haul for South Carolina, and it saved it, stringed together Beamer into this next wave of quarterbacks for him. But Lenore Sellers is his guy. Was able to lock him in. We heard about it preseason during this offseason. How many teams are going after him being targeted? So kudos to those boys for staying on top of it. And look, I always felt like Beamer would be on the hot seat, but he's honestly quietly just keeping it above the South Carolina Gamecock standard. The fact that these boys are constantly in this conversation.
That's all you need, baby.
That's what they need. That's what, I mean,
that's all you need. Like you just keep it right above the standard. Hey, now you got to win national championships at Florida if you want to keep it above the standard, right? Because Natty's your team.
Correct.
So a little tougher, but South Carolina, I felt like he would be okay.
Getting rid of the beanball. I mean, he's just out there. He's right there. He's like, hey, we got a year to make. I see South Carolina fans, and I'm like, hey, I have the cock like, hey, you never know. Feeling pretty good about the season, but like the expectations are always just kind of right here. Like that's now we might get a little bit too dramatic on our end, but good stuff. Let's talk the SEC rankings here, boys. Let's get into it a little bit. I mean, again, it's just all a projection of what people feel, and whether it's right or wrong is up to you. But I wanted to be mad, and I was like, man, it's kind of tough. So first team, Lenora Sellers got it. When we talked about it, we've said Garrett. It's Garrett Nusmire, Lenora Sellers 1-2. Like you pick and choose. So that's fine with me. I was cool with that. Whit Wisner from Texas, the running back. When we did our running back list, I talked about him, but there was a lot of talk that the backup court running back is going to be making a run. So that one's kind of interesting to me
Don't they
because
have a kid out of Florida?
yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my
Gibson?
head. Gibson, yeah, Jarrett Gibson. But there's somebody else. There's someone else between them. Cedric Baxter. Yeah, Baxter is
Baxter.
is been talked a lot about. So that was kind of interesting to me that he got running back one. The Levon Moss at Texas A&M. Again, this is where A&M I think does a good job of moving the ball. Number one there. You can kind of split hairs in the running back room on this one. The wide receiver was a clear 1-2 with Ryan Williams and Keon Coleman. Like that's yeah, I'm cool with it. Tight end Eli Stelwers from Vanderbilt. Then the offensive line, Caden Proctor, which we've all agreed is one of the best tackles in the country at Alabama. O-line Caden Green from Mizzou. O-line DJ Campbell from Texas. And then the boys brought in the rear, which that was spot on to me. I don't think Najee Harris has done enough to earn first team. Right guard Damian George has been battling that position. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year, but he has not been SEC preview, and the right tackle is kind of open for grabs. Second team quarterback was Garrett Nusmire. Cool with me. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
We've
Steady
been
Eddie,
saying- we've been
3,000
saying one,
yards.
too. Running back Jaden Ott from Oklahoma, who had a phenomenal year at Cal. We know that Oklahoma can move the ball, but I don't know. This one's a little question mark for me. I feel like we could have maybe picked somebody else. Caden Durham is there, so he got SEC too. He probably should have been one, if we're being honest.
So real quick,
Yep. I'm listening.
we've talked about all these players, so obviously we know what we're talking about. Didn't we just say Durham is a heck of a running back?
Yeah, we went spot on. Wide receiver Aaron Anderson from LSU, and then wide receiver Ryan Wingo. All proven guys to me. Cool with that. Tight end Oscar Delp probably should be number one, but Delp's phenomenal. I think he's great. O-line. Then we're kind of getting deep into the weeds here. I mean, if you want me to know secondary offensive lineman, you can just leave me alone. This is where we split hairs. Third team Arch Manning got the nod, and honestly, listen. That's where the splitting the hairs would come into play. I wonder how many votes DJ got to be in that position. But it is kind of surprising on how many lists we saw come out pre-SEC Media Days and how high DJ was, right? I think that was a huge question mark because the only thing that they've got to be right on for Arch is just the surrounding talent is around him. That's what I can think of. Running back Nate Fraziers, who I love. I think he's phenomenal. Had a phenomenal freshman year. Was it better than Jaden Ball, though? And that's what's crazy to me is that Nate Frazier is over Jaden Ball or Jacoby Jackson. Whatever you want to get mad about, but it's Jaden Ball's room to lose. That's a matter of a fact. I don't know about the stat line, but I gotta think Jaden had more, right? And he's running behind a better line, so he had 673. I mean, Nate Frazier had a hell of a year, so maybe not.
671 with 8 touchdowns.
Nate did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he had 8. Ball had 7 touchdowns and 673. So, splitting hairs again.
What's his average? What's his
5.1?
average? Nate Frazier has 5 yards.
With a better O-line, with a better O-line, a better quarterback.
There's some bias though in the logo and what they've produced.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Florida should have high one there. Jam Miller for Alabama there, and then Eric Singleton at Auburn, who was phenomenal. He was a top wide receiver, coming out of Georgia Tech in the transfer portal. Kevin Coleman, who you were high on, I think, on our wide receiver list, if I don't mistaken there. And then we go to offensive line. Head over to defense. Defensive line Keldrick Falk, who we mentioned. Defensive line Dylan Stewart, who we've mentioned.
South Carolina.
Defensive line Colin Simmons, who we've mentioned, and defensive line
Texas.
Christian Miller, who I think Kai had him on his list.
Over one of the Florida guys?
Yeah, that was weird to me. Because then on the next second team was LT Overton, who I know that you both had him on your top 5.
Yeah.
Tim Keenan, who you both had on your top 5. Caleb Banks, who you both had on your top 5. Mason Thomas, I want to think you had on yours from Oklahoma. That was second team. And the third team was Tyreek Sapp. So now Jaden Ball did get third team, just so we're clear, but it was like third team, like specialist. So it wasn't offense, it was specialist, like punt return, etc. That's where Jaden Ball and Eugene Wilson were on those teams, that was fine. Trace Mack's on that list. Rocco Underwood were second team special teams. That was a compliment. Georgia swept first team special teams, which is kind of cool. When you talk about those urban teams, like what made them special, like it's special teams. Those boys were nasty. So all good stuff. 250 strong, boys and girls. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Happy to have you here again. We're splitting hairs. I never really get too worked up with these things. I thought it was thought our SAP boys, our D line got a little disrespect, but that's the way that it is. Just so you guys are aware, we're doing a giveaway for this signed helmet that I got yesterday. If you guys didn't hear us talk about it, it's signed by Caleb Banks, Drake Stubs, Jaden Ball, Tramel Jones, and Eugene Wilson. Did I say that? Or did not?
So got to meet some boys. Who was your favorite out of the bunch?
Ooh, good question.
I got my favorite from the spring game.
They were all very, 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 very cool. Banks was the quietest. I saw him right away, and all very sweet. Tramel, I don't say I knew Tramel, but we had him on the show, and I was like, "Hey man, how you doing?" Hey man, good to see you. You remember? He goes, "Oh yeah, man, Hot Top Sports, baby, what's up?" So that was cool. Very personable. Just chilling with me. Stubbs was way comfortable, way more comfortable for a freshman than I thought he would.
He's a dude.
Yeah. Ball was quiet and Trey was quiet. I mean, I didn't really want to bother him. There's a ton of people up there. I was kind of just moving in and out, but I like the Stubbs personality was not what I intended. But I did want the kid's huge. Because I remember we talked about him, so I would always see his pictures from his practice. He's absolutely massive. Like surprisingly, he's bigger than I would argue. Like,
is he as big as Ball?
Yeah, like if not bigger.
Really?
Yeah. Like it was weird. I was gonna say, I think he was. I mean,
like, are you a linebacker, bro?
He was yoked, bro. Like he was just juiced, like not in a good way, like not fat, right? Obviously, Tramel looked phenomenal. Tramel looked just absolutely slim. Like Eugene looked like he was supposed to look, but yeah, Ball looked very sound and thick, but I felt like Stubbs was taller. That could have been a factor. What's the height? I don't know.
I look it up. Stubbs was my favorite from the spring game.
I think Stubbs is 6'2".
And Hayden Hansen. If you guys have seen that guy in person,
he's a monster.
we need to put him into a lab, okay, and make sure that Viking DNA is spreading throughout.
He's 6'1", 197. Stubbs is,
but he's 197 yoked up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why he felt bigger, because he was.
I think Ball's 220. Ball carries most of his in his lower half, though. Thick
Ball's
lower
6'1",
half.
227 too. So okay, hold on. To be fair, there's a picture here. I'll show it because Nick took it. He stood up. I go, "Yo, bro, sit down, bro. Chill out." Literally like a chip. I can pull it up. Bro, he stood up. I was like, "Yo, you gotta chill out, bro." Okay, he might be kind of big. There's.
That's trying to focus. Yeah. Who is that in the white? Is that Ball?
That's Ball.
That looks like Ball to me. Yeah, Ball's yoked. Golly.
You see Wilson too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Wilson's looking yoked too. Hey, strength and conditioning staff putting it on him, huh?
Yeah, but like just look at me. I'm like, yo, you see me telling me, yo, sit down, bro.
Yeah, Nick's a normal human. Nick is probably
Nick Del
5'11". Yeah,
Nick's
5'10",
5'9".
5'9", 5'10", but average.
He's probably pissed. He felt a little bit shorter than me. Maybe not. He's like 5'10".
He's probably 5'9", 5'10", probably 175 pounds. He's an average human. These guys that are walking around, yeah. These guys walking around are just jacked.
Oh, dude, they're huge. Yeah, Banks
like when I saw Hayden Hansen, I'm like, that's like, okay, like if aliens came down and there was Hayden Hansen and then me standing next to each other, they'd be like the aliens would be like, oh, those are two different subspecies of humans. Yeah, because Hayden's just jacked to the gills.
Yeah. Okay. So All right, here's Stubs. Like, he just is a unit,
It looks like ball. God, he's big.
right?
He's big.
Yeah. So he was
He's
just
huge.
yeah. Banks looks kind of trimmed up. I mean, he looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is absolutely he's a unit too. But
Yeah. Yeah, that guy.
no, it's a great event. Great event. Shout out to those guys for doing it. I mean, it was
Scott
it was-
O2O says pay our strength guide more.
yeah, he's gonna
Right?
he's gonna get paid for sure. He's gonna lock it in. But yeah, it was a great event. It was a free, so shout out to Florida Victorious and DreamWorks for doing that. It was in a house. Obviously, the idea was to help you try to sell a home. Kind of what I
Yeah.
gathered pretty quickly. But yeah, I kind of just went in and got out. I didn't want to barely be in the way. I mean, they had them all kind of separated throughout the house, where you had tore the whole thing. But yeah, it's a good time, great event. They were just there to sign autographs. I'm sure they could have talked more, but again, when I take these things in consideration, I kind of feel weird, like I'm like the old guy asking for autographs. There's kids and stuff there, so I don't want to get in the way. But I don't feel as guilty because I know I'm giving one away. Like I even told Banks, hey, I'm not being greedy. I'm giving one of these away, right? So I want you to think that I'm just like trying to like not to take care of.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Some guys have some cool stuff that they brought. You know, big helmets, shirts. One lady she had a Eugene Wilson shirt on, and Eugene signed it. They're pumped to see the kids. Kids are pumped to see them. Very patient, taking pictures with everybody. So.
Yeah, they're just getting better at it day every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're doing more and more
you're
things.
surrounded by it, so I mean you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
But Mitchell says, can anyone explain the Nusmire hype for me? I really don't see anything special. I mean, look, you heard our guy that came on from Read and React, Will. He wasn't hyped at all about Garrett Nusmire. I like him. I think that he passes the eye test. He's very poised in the pocket when he has time. He's got a great arm, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. There's a lot of talent in the wide receiver room that surrounds him. Great running back room. So those things are what makes Garrett Nusmire exciting. And when you look at the rest of the room, he's the old guy in the quarterback room in the SEC. He's got the most experience out of anybody. So it's very similar to last year where Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck and Brady Cook. He's kind of the Brady Cook of this class, but without the Quinn Ewers just yet. Like Arch, obviously those guys are the talent, but Quinn and Carson Beck had experience backing them when they came into the league or were going into the league last year. He is the Brady Cook that's proven to play effectively in the SEC alongside a plethora of young guys. So that's where I think a lot of it comes up to.
You throw for 4,000 plus yards and 29 touchdowns, you're gonna in the SEC, you're turning heads.
Exactly.
You're gonna be.
In
now, are some of those
in a year when you would argue it still wasn't the best, not the best protection, not the best play calling, not the best defensive side of the ball to where you were having to do all the work. Like everything was against him last year, and he still threw for over 4,000 yards. Like that's where it comes from. But again, still, I know Will wasn't impressed by it. Again, he's still, in my opinion, he's a top 3 SEC quarterback until he's not. Whether you love him or hate him, I mean, he's up there. That's just is what it is.
Yeah.
But well, boys, I think we're gonna wrap her up. We'll have our show live tomorrow, the Monday mashup. So be sure to tune in for that. If you guys wanna, we'll be talking all things college football on the tomorrow show. Hear about Stephen Colbert getting fired from the Tonight Show?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I was so Becca and I, we always eat his Tonight Show ice cream. I was kind of bummed because I assume that's going to be gone now.
Not the ice cream.
The Colbert one. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be gone. You can't have a Tonight Show with Stephen Colbert's face on it if he's no longer employed.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. He was losing. Apparently they were losing. They were giving him $16 million. The show was losing $40 million a year. I go, let's not tell him what High Top's losing a year because we'd be shut down pretty quickly. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you can only take L's so long before you got to cut bait. Okay.
Yeah. What a downfall, man. The Tonight Show used to be the bread and butter. Used to love that stuff.
I think, you know what I think it is? I think that people are more consumed with stuff like this, with podcasts. Not even here, not even just sports, but in the political realm. I think people are going to more of a open source podcast in the political realm. They're not sitting around watching Fox or CNN or MSNBC.
So you know what's funny is that's the other problem is Colbert isn't supposed to be political, but that's exactly how I feel when I think of Stephen Colbert. I think of a CNN Fox News TV show, like a political
comic.
It's not a political. It's not supposed to be.
But it is.
But that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem is all these Tonight shows have gone political and they've chosen a side or just made people feel like, look, I want to. If I'm tuning the TV on 11:30 at night, I want to laugh, and not always just be like, and not have an agenda shoved down my throat. I think that's been the bigger thing too.
Yeah.
And we saw in this year's political race where that's why the politicians were headed towards these other podcasts because they felt like, hey, I'm being. There seems to be more openness and transparency through these other platforms. But I grew up on the late nights, man, with Leno and Letterman, and I can't think of there's a couple more of the kind of smaller names, but of course Jimmy Fallon was one of my favorites. Part of where I get my inspiration for these shows were from those shows, and it's sad to see it go.
Yeah, my parents were a little less rocky road in their ice cream selection and we had to watch Bill O'Reilly. Okay, Bill O'Reilly, No Spin Zone was on, and I had to watch until I went to bed at 9 o'clock. The No Spin Zone of Bill O'Reilly. Gosh. Okay,
tough.
Oh boy, there was no comedic
Big Bill
anything.
O'Reilly, yeah,
you know what I
mean.
That
those the Tonight shows would poke fun at the politicians, but it felt like it was one of it felt like it was one of us. Like it was us making fun of the politicians together, right? Versus like there was
you got to be like South Park. You can't pick a side. Like South Park's undefeated, son.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad to see that. Like I mean, Colbert, whatever. I'm not too concerned about that. It's sad to see that media space, if you will, I guess, kind of lose its juice.
It's dying. It's dying. Well, it's a good thing that they're losing their juice because we got 213 people hanging out with us on Sunday night.
That's true.
At 9 o'clock, we're soothing them to sleep now.
Yeah, wait, that's true. We're the new late night boys. Listen,
we are the late night.
We've done it once. My next big goal, like for Wednesday night, because it's kind of like the big one. We've had it one time. We've had a guy come on and do it. Is to end every Wednesday night with a live music performance, like they do on the Tonight Show. Like that is
your last guy made American Idol.
Yeah, I know, right? that's. I mean, we were pretty good at spotting talent, but yeah, the last guy we had went on American Idol, and it kind of worked out. I've tried to have my uncle on, who's a phenomenal singer, but we've had audio issues. Is the reason why I haven't had him on yet. And that's kind of my loophole that I'm finding is like, how can I get it to where it sounds good? But man, what a way to end off a Wednesday night if we could have a little rock concert on YouTube. Like it'd be sick. Like I don't know, those are things.
Or a comedian. We've had some good comedians on.
Good point. A little stand up, little 5-minute stand up. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Shane Gillis to wrap up the show. Yeah. That's a good point.
We have to reach out to Josh Prey, our guy.
Yeah, that'd be a good point. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't even think about that. That's another good one.
Real fast, Aaron's selling about the custom rod. Yeah, shoot me a Twitter DM and we'll get together about that. Yeah, I need a frog rod bad.
Who?
Aaron Selling. He said get with me for a custom rod for all the
Customs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Mako made me one. Yeah, get after it. Phenomenal rod. Go get yourself a little orange and blue high top rod, boys. Let's get after it. Boys and girls, tomorrow we'll be live at 8:05 with Mr. Stephen Harris, the champ himself, giving away the signed Brandon Spikes bottle. Of course, get your tickets to our Gator Independent Media event coming up this Sunday from 2 to 5 at Magnitude Brewing. So y'all be good. I love y'all. Stay safe. We'll see you boys tomorrow. Let's have another great week. College football sports. We're almost there, boys. We're like 5 Saturdays away, 6, something like that. It's like right around the
6.
5. I think it's 5 now.
5 for week 0.
It's 5 then. Football and 5, boys. Football and 5.
Yep.
McCoy Customs. I always mess it up. Y'all be good. Love y'all. Peace and love.
We'll see you.